Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. I'm in this group on Facebook. I'm in a few of them, but there's this main one. It's all about cult films. People sell Blu-rays. They talk about underground movies and B-movies. And if you know me, I love B-movies and like Z-grade, trash, shot on video garbage. It's all my jam. So a gentleman named Felix Jordan Jr. posted in a cult group I'm in on Facebook about how crazy this movie was and that he's the director and he's trying to get the word out there that it's on Tubi if people want to watch it. And it's a mix between psychological horror, slasher film, and a 90s hood movie. And the cover of the film is a person with a knife with a flannel on, like Debo, with a plastic mask of a boxer. And it's called Dogface, a Trap House Horror. It really catches your attention. It's a very interesting looking piece of cover art. So that being said, I was joking with him a little bit on the post and was saying, I hated it, or I'm gonna go watch your movie and tell you how much I hate it. I was just teasing him, and we were kind of bantering back and forth a little bit. But I did tell him I would watch his movie, so I just wanted to do this video and weigh in on Dogface, a Trap House Horror. So, first off, let me start off by saying that I think this was a pretty interesting movie. I think that Felix had some interesting concepts, bit off a little more than he can chew, especially with the budget, because it's a small, low-budget film. It does have a little bit of that 90s hood movie vibe, but they throw in a lot of newer slang and mannerisms and things that you wouldn't have seen in a 90s film, obviously. The main point of the story is the main character is a drug dealer. I guess he just sells pot. I'm not really sure. They show pot and talk about pot a lot, so I'm presuming that's all he sells, but I don't know. And he buys this house, and the house is extremely cheap, and it's nice. It's, you know, all done up and stuff. And the real estate agent, he asks her, why is the house so cheap? And she says, oh, not cheap, affordable. And she then tells him that the house was owned many years ago by a guy and his wife. The guy flipped out, killed the wife, and then also murdered all 10 of their dogs, which sort of ties into the story, kinda. He proceeds now to, you know, move into his home, and he's hanging out, and he invites his friend over to see his house, and things start happening. He calls up his friend to come hang out, hangs up the phone, and a split second later the friend's at the door, and he goes, you know, I just hung up with you a minute ago. How are you here already with whatever, all the booze I told you to bring, or whatever it was? He goes, you called me an hour ago. So, like, there's some sort of time warp, paradox, something going on. Then there's parts of the film where things are happening, crazy things, and it ends up being like a nightmare, or you kind of don't know what's real and what isn't. Almost, you know, like I don't want to use David Lynch-esque, but it definitely has that weird fever dream feel in certain aspects of it. His father comes to the house at one point and says, I've been in prison for X amount of years and I need a place to stay and a good meal. Can you put me up for a few days? And there's this weird interaction between them. I will say some of the acting and the interactions between the actors were a little repetitive. Like the main character and his best friend, who has all these tattoos and shit on his face, they kept saying the word bruh. So throughout the whole conversation, bruh, I'm serious, bruh, 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 bruh. And after like a minute, I must have heard it 8 or 10 times, and I was like, they just came off as like really annoying from saying the same thing over and over and over. But I found the story interesting. It proceeds to meld this sort of, again, like he put in his post, like a psychological horror, but it's not scary. That's the problem with 90s hood movies. So you feel sort of like that Leprechaun in the Hood vibe, but tries to be scary as opposed to funny. And I think this movie would have really benefited from being funnier. I grew up on a lot of 90s hood movies. I'm from the Bronx originally, so I came from the city and I enjoyed all that shit. And I think that it just should have leaned a little more towards funny and not so serious. By the end of the film, the dreamlike nightmare sequence things kind of run their course. They happened a few times. I didn't love the ending. I felt like it sort of felt tacked on and then added this plot at the end that you were like, really? But overall, it held my attention. I commend anyone who makes a film, especially I thought the lighting was good. I thought the filming was good, and it was, done well. The special effects were low budget fare, the plastic dog mask, the fake blood, stuff like that. There was one part where one guy gets hit in the back of the head with a hammer. That looked pretty cool. So they definitely tried, and I think with the budget they had, I'm not 100% sure how much it is. Online it says $150,000. I don't know if that's true, but I think that they definitely incorporated some cool stuff in the film. I was interested. I wanted to see where it was going to go. The characters weren't very likable. They all sort of would kind of 1 minute be at each other's throat and then the next minute be like best friends. So I feel like they were very back and forth with one another. There are a few women in the movie. Some of them at one point in the film, I'm not going to ruin it, are scantily clad, dancing around, like doing lap dances. And then the next scene, and this is explained sort of, the next scene, they dress normal and they look different. And you almost don't even know it's the same actress. So that was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, from the cover of the movie, you don't know what you're in for. And I just wish it was a little funnier. I wish it was a little more humorous and not so serious. Overall, I thought Dogface, I want to make sure I get the name right, Dogface, a trap house horror, was interesting, pretty good, and I commend Felix for writing and directing this and doing a lot of things that I thought were done very well. But I would tighten up that storytelling a little bit, maybe lean a little towards the comedic side in the future, not so much horror, unless you're going straight horror and you have some good special effects and can do some cool gore and really put the scares in there. But I definitely look forward to Felix's movies in the future. I appreciate him popping up on Facebook and telling, all of us that his movie was on Tubi and free to watch. And it was a nice, hour and 15-minute time killer and fairly interesting. You don't see a lot of stuff like that. So that's my little quick synopsis of Dogface, a trap house horror. Thank you guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.